Well, I was just going to pick up on something that you said there, Dr. Singh, about the importance of not forcing curriculum and not forcing job choices on students, because I think in many ways that obviously answers your previous response about not closing down students' options and also preparing them for the jobs that don't yet exist, which is, as you say, this big statistic. We need to make sure that we're not just funneling students into disciplines when actually the world is increasingly interdisciplinary, and we have to be preparing people to be resilient, creative, and future thinking. So, like you, I absolutely welcome this disruption in educational context, because I think it does open up the potential that is much needed to rethink curriculum design so that it does prepare students for the future rather than just preparing them for the present. We need to be preparing them for their future and also for the future of the planet. As you say, sustainability is so important, and this is a once in a lifetime opportunity to rethink this, to rethink the curriculum and to integrate different ideas and bring in new ways of learning. And it wouldn't have happened without this crisis in many ways, I think. So. Okay, my final question really was just about it's about access, I suppose, and I think this question of access to technology and access to internet has been the same the world over, regardless of where you are, and this issue of the digital divide between students who have access to technology and the internet and those who don't, and that is happening in every country. So, what do you think needs to happen in India to prevent this digital divide from denying students access to education, particularly those from lower socioeconomic backgrounds? How can we tackle this problem of the digital divide?
Very interesting question, and I've been thinking about it for last 1 year, not only in my own university, but I think education in general, particularly some of the schools in rural areas where this problem is more predominant. The problem is not the comfort with the use of technology. The new generation is so comfortable, they can learn it without anybody teaching them. So that's not the issue with me. I can cite an example of a small rural school in Rajasthan, one of the states in North India, Northwest, wherein children touched the mobile for the first time. First time they used WhatsApp. First time we opened email IDs for them. And I could see that in next 1 week, they were sending friend requests to me on Facebook. And many of them are connected with me and interacting and asking me questions and giving their views. So it's not the comfort of use of technology, but I think it's the accessibility, one, and two, the availability of the gadgets, whether it's mobile phone or the computers or tabs in whatever form we use the. This problem gets multiplied when in a village, there are 3 children who are going to different schools or at different levels of their education, and they have only one gadget in the family. So how to share it? So that adds to the problem. So even if it's there, it's not in sufficient quantity. And I think this has led to a clear-cut divide, digital divide, as you call it. I 100% agree to that. Some of the solutions or some of the ways which people have been using, I would suggest here, or maybe I have used it. As I earlier mentioned, the universities and schools, and even the governments, or local governments or the federal governments, have to augment the infrastructure. This may take time, but I think increasing the bandwidth doesn't really take much of time. It's the problem of availability of gadgets on which you can view whether live classes or otherwise. There are many NGOs in the country who have changed their strategy as they help the society. And they've been providing gadgets, and they've discussed with the manufacturers and purchased in bulk at a very, very competitive price, which becomes affordable. I have even seen how they have been able to access old used equipment, computers and phones, and have been able to provide to kids in the rural areas. So that has helped a lot. I'm not saying that it has helped everybody, to a great deal it has helped. Many individuals and corporates have come forward. They have diverted their CSR money, which is mandatory beyond a particular size in India, and they have been able to procure these gadgets and distribute to the children. In fact, there's a scheme in India where many of the state government schools have been adopted by corporates in the vicinity. And they've been upgrading their buildings and other physical infrastructure, the campus infrastructure. They have also been consciously changing their focus towards providing gadgets rather than upgrading the building. The building upgradation can wait. In any case, it is not being used during the COVID. And I think the fourth one, which comes out of the modes of delivery, is more and more for these kids, we can focus on asynchronous delivery, a pre-recorded kind of things, which they can access at their own time when the connectivity is better or whenever they can find these gadgets. The problem of multiple children using the same gadget can be solved to a large extent, instead of only relying on the live classes or synchronous classes, as I said. This may, I think, help resolve the problem to large extent. And in any case, I think parents also are making decisions where they have, their first priority has become to buy a computer for the kids than anything else. Yeah. So this change is taking place clearly. Yeah.
No, that's super interesting, Dr. Singh. And the other thing that reminded me as you were talking there was something that we realized recently in my own university, was that we were just assuming that students were learning on a laptop. We just thought, well, we're delivering online, and actually we realized that a lot of students were mobile first. So that actually we need to rethink how we are preparing materials, because students often, as you say, they're sharing devices and they've just got a mobile. So we need to make sure that the resources are accessible on mobile.
I'll just mention one point I'll add to this, my experience of what we did. We gave additional access to our students to 16,000 modules on LinkedIn. That sort of MOOCs. While only 5,500 students activated their account in the first month, but the number of videos which were watched by our students were 500,000. So I think this access also leads them to explore newer things, which we could never imagine in a classroom setting. And I think in that sense, a blended learning will do much more good to us than face-to-face learning. These kind of opportunities students explore and learn more in the process.
Yeah, and that's so important, isn't it? Particularly at higher education level, where we should be facilitating learning rather than just delivering content. So how can we create an ecosystem of learning where students have opportunities to explore where they can, rather than expecting them to just turn up and listen to lectures? So I think you're absolutely right. Creating the opportunities for invention and self-directed study, that really opens up opportunities as well. I think. Dr. Singh, thank you so much for your time. That was all our questions, but I mean, I could honestly talk to you all day, because I could learn so much from what you're doing there. But Adity, thank you so much for the opportunity as well to be involved.